at this point, I have played the following characters versus Nagoriyuki. Kyle, Axel, Faust, aka Woust, not Loust, Milia, of course, Zato, Giovanna, Gold Lewis, which was Pain, and Happy Chaos. So I played a bunch of characters against this character. Of course, it's gonna sound really stupid, but all these characters are different characters. So you have to use different strategies to fight Nagoriyuki, but from playing many characters, I got different perspectives on how people do stuff. There are some general things that you should be considering when defending Nagoriyuki. Your immediate value from this is you're going to learn how to defend Nagoriyuki a little bit better, but what you learn here, you should start applying to the entire game, because Guilty Gear is very heavily matchup based. Even if this game is for babies, it's very matchup based, and you have to use different strategies against different characters, and you're not going to be able to use the same strategies as people who use other characters. So I'm going to start with Milia, because after all that, because the truth is I was looking for somebody to beat Nagoriyuki, but I've come full circle. And in the end, my decision is I should play Milia against Nago. Unlike Potemkin, where against Potemkin, I will use a different character against Potemkin. Nago, I will play Milia versus Nago. So the blood gauge is the most important thing that you have to pay attention to. I'm sure you've heard this many times. I'm going to take a step further. I'm going to go further than just saying, oh, you have to pay attention to it. I would go as far as saying that you should learn specifically how it works and what increases the blood gauge by how much and what decreases the blood gauge by how much. So if I was to simplify it for you, all his 3 main special moves use a significant amount of blood, right? He uses 90. So this is 90. So if we wait, it'll fill up to there and then start draining. The clone is also 90. And last is that, my bad. These are the 3 main ones that build a lot of blood. Then his step also uses meter, but it uses slightly less than half. I believe it's around like 40 to 45, right? So you're gonna see it fill up. Oh, it's a little bit less than that. It's under half for sure. The total he has is 300. And it could happen, right? It has to catch up. So despite him going over the limit, he can keep on doing this until he pops. Now we have to talk about things that reduce his blood meter, right? One is doing nothing, okay? So once it reaches the amount that it is, it will slowly drain. H normals reduce it like via pinch. His command grab has a very special thing. I'll go into what it does specifically, but it does reduce it by, I think, around 280 points. His / last hit reduces it by more than a bar. This also on hit reduces a significant amount. So you need to have a good idea of what increases blood and what decreases blood and where it's going to be, because the meter has to go up and down. All this stuff's on Dust Loop, by the way. So this reduces blood by 280 points, but it also halts the gauge immediately. So if he was like right about to, let's say this type of example. Alright, I gotta get the Blade. Halts it and immediately drains, right? Halts it and immediately drains. This is really, 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 really important. And it doesn't cost any gauge to use. It costs 0. Even in that example where I did like 7 special moves, I don't remember the exact amount of times I did it, but I did it way more. Like I was definitely gonna pop. You can still make it stop. This is a really important thing to know, number 1. Important thing to know about Nago, number 2, is how he changes when he levels up in blood normals. Sorry, in blood levels. So each time he fills up a stock, his H normals will change. Specifically, his 2H and 5H will get bigger and faster. So this changes the threat and stuff. Why I jokingly call this much blood footsie mode, because this shit hits from mad far, and 2S into 5H is a combo, right? So the truth is, all his H normals change. His 6H also changes. For the sake of like matchup strategy, the 2 main important one, I mean the most important one is 5H by far. That's the most important one you have to pay attention to. Then it's 2H, then it's 6H, in my opinion anyway. So this is like your baseline. So you know how the blood works. You know what normals change when he levels up in blood. And the last thing actually that you would have to know in advance before we go to how you deal with him differently with different characters. What is your pop punish? Like how good is your pop punish? So do you command grab them? Do you have a combo that kills them? Like what do you do? Next, let's talk about his match flow, because this is another thing we need to consider before we start talking about different characters, and basically the last thing. So the match flow goes like this. Okay, round start, he has nothing. He has a lot of good round starts, and basically everything he will hit leads to a combo. He has this, which is buff now. He has 6p for counter poking. He has 5k for counter poking. He can back off with Fukyo. He has a couple of things that they rotate through. And for the most part, when Nago is successful, his win is hitting you and bringing you here. So if you can't do this, if your character can't do that for some reason, you're struggling. Like, if your character can't hit that at the start of the round, you're really struggling. Because that is like the enabler. That is the big enabler. Okay, far slash smoked. Trade, you're fucked. Can't do it. Smoked. Goodbye. Pain. Pain. Everything. So when this happens, you're in trouble because now he gets to guess more aggressively because you're so scared of that. You're gonna die if you get hit by that. So you're so scared of that you have to start picking like either this, like get away, or like try to wait, and then you gotta start doing funky shit. So that then he's gonna start pulling up on you really hard because of that. So definitely check that with your character. Remember, if he hits you here, you end up here, which is not good. From here on out, now we can start building our defense by character. I will start with what I generally think of to defend him and how I apply it with Milia. And this is actually one of the reasons why I like Milia a lot more in this match now after picking other characters. So essentially the strat with Milia is she doesn't care about blood too much because she's really mobile. So like stuff like this is admittedly annoying. But like you don't really have to worry about this because she doesn't use projectiles from full screen. So you don't have to worry about him using that. He has to get to like near you and do that. If he has a little blood, his pressure is going to be scary. If he has a lot of blood, he's going to be in footsie mode. Your goal for defending him when he gets you to here, because this is his win condition, is to always try to get him to here, this range. This is really important. You don't ever want him to be here. You always want him to be here. Once he's at this amount of blood, it's hard for him to get here. It's quite hard for him to get here. So once you push him out here, you can start guessing with movement. So you don't even have to press. You can start guessing with movement because she is very mobile in the air, right? She has 2 jumps, air dashes, high jumps. She has a fast air dash too that he has to preempt. So she has a lot of stuff to like get away once he can't threaten with special moves anymore. And so because of that, I basically extremely rarely choose mash. And then only thing you really want to mash is this, because that's the only special move he's going to have left once he's here. Once he gets to this point, and if you hit that, Milia hitting that means a lot. So the only thing I'm really trying to mash is the step and basically nothing else. So how do we get Nago to go here and not be here? 1, FD. But you have to FD the right stuff. So Nago has a bunch of forward advancing stuff. Let me do it again. Let's take this. Very common Nago trap, right? Very common. If you FD the first hit, you still get bit. If you FD the second hit, it does not reach. So you have to FD the right moves. So you have to FD that. 100%. Next move to always try to FD whatever he meets you with. Whatever he meets you with. No FD, dash momentum, he bites you. FD, no. So another one. So similarly, all you gotta do is FD 1 normal. You only have to target 1 normal, so you're not like shitting your faultless defense away, and you're trying to push him out. For him to push his turn back, he generally has to take some type of risk or use the blood. So in this example, if you FD'd him and he's awake and he doesn't bite you, 6K doesn't have Gatlings after, as we know. So he has to walk up. So with this in mind, you can choose it, but recognize this is a risk though. Recognize this is a risk, especially if he has blood to play with. I'm woke. Okay, he's gonna delete you if you do that. So recognize it, but take it. So we use FD to keep him off. We use FD as our safe guess. Keep him off, and make him overextend. Make him overextend. The only thing you should be aiming to mash period, is step. And it gets easier the more he uses blood gauge. So for me, since I have a character that's very mobile, I can literally just choose to keep him off, and then, okay, safe guess. Safe guess with 2k, get him off me. Then I will fly out or gamble around certain stuff, because once he gets to here, they will generally not gamble with blood. Generally, and they'll be playing these type of games where they'll do the Hotashi, where they do this over and over, and then randomly do this, or maybe they'll call your jump so that they can Fukio in and try again. But they don't have a lot of guesses they can do. There's a very special type of guess they could do when this happens. I should just show you. So here I'm gonna pop, right? So normally, you might think this is a pretty logical mash point. Because if he does Beyblade or something, he's gonna pop. But you're gonna die from the combo. So to be honest, this will probably happen. I'm showing it here because it's obvious. But this happens around, let's say, here-ish. So, okay. So now, cool. I'm Nago. I do. And then I do a combo and kill you and then pop on purpose, right? But if you have the discipline to not press, then he's dead. Zato, unfortunately, doesn't have a double jump. So he only has to fly, and this is not fast. He can do this, right? He has that, but that costs meter, of course. So you're not going to be able to use jump as a very strong escape. So you're still going to be aiming for using FD to protect you from this. But you have to be really on point with pressing buttons, which is a little bit scary. Again, it's like hard for you to use like movement escapes because he's not mobile. So unfortunately, you have to press and really, really aim for the steps and press and hit them. The good news is, even though you're not very mobile, you do have this. If you can protect your space here, use FD, and then get him to here and have him swinging, you can start using a pose to like work your way out and then gradually get back to the ideal position where you're just zoning him in neutral. Faust, similar thing, not too bad against him in round start, but you have to look for this a lot more because you have full screen stuff. Nago doesn't want you to do full screen stuff, but the good news is, since he's using this more, if you can get away from it, then he just wasted like 1.25 bar essentially to try to get in on you. So it's easier to get Nago to use resources. In the corner, it's a similar thing to Zato, where you have to kind of press your way out. But the good news is that this character has a high jump, and he has like stuff he could do from far to kind of protect himself. The bad news is you don't have like a fuck you button, like a pose, like a fuck you move. You really have to fight your way out. But Faust is pretty good at doing it, and you have when he steps on you to like have a chance to use RNG to start your game plan of basically getting this and not letting him get back under 2 blood basically ever. Most of these characters have to protect their space from step, and then once he gets far, you do something, because they don't have like a movement option. Like Milia has a movement option. It's privileged. She gets to do stuff that other characters don't do. Axel has a really far air dash, right? The Axel got second place at CEO Remy. Kind of put me onto this. Axel has a kind of far air dash. He kind of like leaps out the corner as a movement option. I haven't really thought of that as an escape option, really. This one is pretty good. So the round start is pretty good. He has a bunch of options that Nago has to look for. You get to control space pretty easily on the screen. You get to make him waste meter on this, and when you're in the corner, basically push him out, look for steps. The thing is, like, he can't do stuff against Axel like too lazily, so very, very uncommon. Very, very, very uncommon for characters to do that. Unfortunate, but a very, 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 very uncommon for characters to actually directly attack the 5H. This move is extremely fast. It's 7 frames. So once he gets to high blood, it's basically over. The downside is that if Nago has a life lead on Axel, I feel like it's pretty hard. So Kyle is the last one. So Kyle is unique because he can do stuff that other characters don't do. Mostly because this is super fast and he has a DP. So you do have to play around the DP a little bit. So you can threaten and you can be a little bit more defensive than normal because they have to bait your DP, especially when you have resources. He's not super good at escaping out the corner. I mean, I guess it's the same as Axel, honestly. So the main difference here is, again, same general strategy of getting Nago to like here, but you have options that other characters don't have, like a DP, you have this in case he does some cute shit right in your face, and you still have escape options on top of that. Everyone has the same general strategy, but not all characters have the same tools. So you're going to be thinking about the different distances differently. Like when you get him far, are you trying to escape? Are you trying to fight back? Like what are you trying to do? One, you definitely have to play differently when he gets 2 blood. And 2, ideally it's hard for him to fight you in that spot, but you have to pay attention to it. But this is like the main things you're going to be paying attention to with him. You could apply this with any character, and you should be thinking this way of taking these steps of looking at what the character has, thinking about how they win the game, building out some core situations, and like how does the match go when this character is beating you, like beats you easily, and then building a countermeasures based on that. Do you guys have any questions?